are here, welcome. This is the world premiere. The world premiere of the full novel marathon reading of Ironweed, a novel by William Kennedy. So we're all making history here, and it's going to continue all day and end on the Cap Rep stage next door starting at 7 p.m. Hope you'll all be there for that. I know a lot of you here. My name is Paul Grondahl. I'm the Opelka Endowed Director at the University of Albany of the University Writers Institute. So on behalf of the author of our Ironweed, which was published exactly 40 years ago, he's an author who also happens to be the founder of the New York State Writers Institute, which was started 40 years ago. So this all kind of pieces together. And first and foremost, this event today is a celebration of William Kennedy and this amazing novel. It's a great American novel about a great American city. It's part of Albany's grand literary tradition. I know many of you have read it. There's people sleeping in their cars. There's homeless encampments. Sounds a lot like 2023. But it was set in Albany in 1938. And it takes its title, as you'll see in the introduction to the novel, as a member of the sunflower family, a plant whose name refers to the toughness of its tall stem. So the backstory and the idea for all this started right here at this bar with people in this room. A lot of good ideas get distilled at this bar. And I think they had a generous pour of Ironweed whiskey. And co-owner John Curtin, who was there in the back, who is also a proud UAlbany alum, like myself, an English major, like myself and many of us here. He and his longtime pal, Harith Som, who is organizing this whole event and is keeping us running, he said, let's do a marathon reading of Ironweed. And he called me up. It was their favorite novel, never been done before. And he said, why not? And then we pulled together this A-team of co-conspirators and organizers. Dave McEnany Johnson of Discover Albany, who is here. Maggie Mancinelli Cahill from Capitol Repertory Theater. Our friends Pam Howard, Historic Albany Foundation. Elizabeth Stack, Irish American Heritage Museum. And this idea kind of grew, and it turned into an idea to do something good with this. So all the money raised and all the tickets bought for Cap Rep will go to the food pantry and free meal outreach at Sacred Heart Church, just a few blocks from here. It was Bill Kennedy's parish growing up. I've spent time there. It serves low-income seniors primarily, food insecure, and this will be a really great help to them. This is about tonight, sorry, I'll skip forward, but the reason we're doing it today, this is All Saints Day. So the novel takes place in Albany across 3 days, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, All Souls Day. And we call this an invitation to sinners and saints. I think we have some both here. So I won't go into what we're going to say tonight, but I would mention a couple things when this novel was published in 1983. You probably all know it was rejected by 13 publishers. Finally, Viking Press published it in 1983. Bill Kennedy was 55 years old. He was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction for fiction in 1984. The New York Times Book Review, Robert Towers wrote this: unlike many modern novelists who are distant from their characters, Kennedy's fiction exudes compassion, a work of unusual interest, original in its conception, full of energy and color, a splendid addition to the Albany cycle. The critic Stefan Beck wrote this, which I love. He wrote, a book cannot save a city, but it can prove that a city is worth saving. Ironweed is included in the Modern Library's list of the 100 best novels in English in the 20th century. It was adapted into a critically acclaimed 1987 film starring Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep. Ironweed and the Albany cycle of novels have been compared many times by critics to Joyce's Dublin, Faulkner's Yoknapatawpha County. The way Bill Kennedy creates this universe, this literary universe, multi-generational characters. And we have the kickoff right here. We have 58 readers here today at the Albany Distilling Company. We have 14 more, total of 72. We're saving the last chapter for Cap Rep. It's a 227-page novel. We're glad Bill wrote short. It's not Moby Dick. Which was a 24-hour reading back in Albany at the academies. I was part of that. Bill was part of that. Andy Rooney was part of that. And some of you were too, I think.
15 days?
Yes. It took over 24 hours. I forget how long. So, I guess we were going to wait for Bill Kennedy himself. I talked to his son who's driving him in. He's coming from Averill Park. I think we want to keep on time. So I will read the first section. Bill will be coming in. We'll let him have a section when he comes. But this is the beginning. Chapter 1, Ironweed, a novel by William Kennedy. Riding up the winding road of St. Agnes Cemetery in the back of the rattling old truck, Francis Phelan became aware that the dead, even more than the living, settled down in neighborhoods. The truck was suddenly surrounded by fields of monuments and cenotaphs of kindred design and striking size, all guarding the privileged dead. But the truck moved on and the limits of mere privilege became visible, for here now came the acres of truly prestigious death. Illustrious men and women, captains of life without their diamonds, furs, carriages, and limousines, but buried in pomp and glory, vaulted in great tombs built like heavenly safe deposit boxes or parts of the Acropolis. And yes, here too, inevitably, came the flowing masses, row upon row of them under simple headstones and simpler crosses. Here was the neighborhood of the Phelans. Francis's mother twitched nervously in her grave as the truck carried him nearer to her. And Francis's father lit his pipe, smiled at his wife's discomfort, and looked out from his own bit of sod to catch a glimpse of how much his son had changed since the train accident. Francis's father smoked roots of grass that died in the periodic droughts afflicting the cemetery. He stored the root essence in his pockets until it was brittle to the touch, then pulverized it between his fingers and packed his pipe. Francis's mother wove crosses from the dead dandelions and other deep-rooted weeds, careful to preserve their fullest length. She wove them while they were still in the green stage of death, then ate them with an insatiable revulsion. "Look at that tomb," Francis said to his companion. "Ain't that something? That's Arthur T. Croghan. I saw him around Albany when I was a kid. He owned all the electricity in town." "He ain't got much of it now," Rudy said. "Don't bet on it," Francis said. "Them kind of guys hang on to a good thing."